I caught her in our bedroom, on our bed, with a man who unclogs toilets for a living. A man who reeked of sewage and cheap body spray. And the worst part? She looked me dead in the eyes and laughed. What happened next tore my soul apart, piece by piece. But if you think that was the end, you're wrong. That's just where everything started. It was a Wednesday. Not that the day matters, but I remember because I left work early. A water pipe had burst in the office and everyone had gone home. Maybe it was fate. Maybe I wasn't supposed to see it. Or maybe I was. I stopped by the store first, got her favorite almond milk, some strawberries. I even bought those granola bars she likes. I thought I'd surprise her with lunch, maybe watch a movie together. We hadn't had that kind of time in weeks. As I pulled into the driveway, I noticed something odd. The white van was parked a little crooked, no company logo, just dirty sides and a dented bumper. The engine was off. I thought maybe a neighbor had called a repairman. I didn't think much of it until I walked inside. The first thing I noticed was that her shoes weren't by the door. She always kicked them off. I walked down the hallway, the bag of groceries over my arm. And then I heard it. Laughter. Not hers. His. And then hers. High-pitched. Playful. I knew that laugh. It was the one she used to give me. Before she started sleeping with a man who smelled like bleach and mildew. I pushed open the bedroom door. She was on top of him. The sheets were bunched up under her knees. The man, balding, maybe 45, still wearing his stained blue uniform with Carl written on it, looked at me like a raccoon caught in headlights. She didn't even flinch. She turned her head, smiled at me, and said, "Guess the guy with the pipe is early." I dropped the bag. The strawberries rolled across the floor. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I couldn't even cry. She climbed off him, calmly pulled on her t-shirt, and walked over to me. "Wow, you really don't see this coming, huh?" She snorted. "You're so trusting. It's actually kind of cute." Carl was buttoning up behind her, awkward and silent. I saw a dark stain on the sheet. I didn't want to know what it was. "Maybe next time," she said, brushing past me. "Check his schedule before you take a half day." Carl followed her like a dog. He didn't even look me in the eye. The doors slammed behind them. And here I was, standing in the house I'd paid for, staring at the bed that still bore the imprint of her betrayal. I stared at the mess on the floor. The strawberries were crushed, bleeding on the tiles. My hands were shaking. My jaw was clenched so hard I thought I would break a tooth. But all I could hear, over and over again, was that laugh. That laugh that was once mine. I didn't call her. I didn't scream. I just sat there. I sat on the edge of that filthy bed for 3 hours. I couldn't even bring myself to clean it. I kept telling myself maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she didn't mean it. Maybe. The next morning, I saw her name flash on my phone. I hesitated, but I picked up. I was too weak not to. "Hey," she said, casual. Like nothing had happened. "You still upset?" I didn't even know how to answer that. She sighed. "You're being dramatic," she said. "It was just a moment. And honestly, it wouldn't have happened if you weren't so emotionally dull." I swallowed. "Can we talk? Face to face?" She agreed. That night, she came back, wearing the same perfume she wore on our second date. The one I told her I loved. I thought maybe she was trying. But no. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, legs crossed, arms folded like we were negotiating a business contract. "You want me to apologize?" she asked, smirking. "Okay. I'm sorry. Sorry you walked in and saw something you weren't supposed to." I was stunned. "You're not sorry for cheating?" She leaned in. "Carl listens to me," she whispered. "He doesn't get nervous every time I raise my voice. You, on the other hand, you flinch like a kicked dog." I blinked hard, trying not to cry. That made her laugh again. She tilted her head and said, "Are you seriously about to cry?" I nodded. I didn't care anymore. "I love you," I said. "We can work through this. Please. I want to forgive you." She burst out laughing. "Forgive me," she said. "You think I want your forgiveness? You think I need it?" I sat frozen, my hands trembling on the table. She reached into her bag and pulled out a receipt. "This," she said, sliding it across to me, "is for the hotel I took Carl to last week. Guess who paid for it?" I looked down. My credit card. She used my money. "I figured if I'm going to deal with your whining, I might as well get something out of it," she said, standing up. "By the way, Carl says your cologne smells like mildew. He thought you were the janitor when he saw your picture." I couldn't breathe. She walked out of the room, humming. I heard her take a shower. In my house. In our bathroom. When she walked past me again, wrapped in a towel, she looked me straight in the eye. You really don't get it, do you? She said. I'm not the one who ruined this. You are. For being so weak. And that's when something inside me shifted. She thought I'd always be the fool, the doormat, the soft-hearted pushover. But she didn't know what I'd already started planning. And she had no idea what was coming. That night, after she left, I sat in the dark. Only silence. And something new. Cold. Focused. Unwavering. She didn't break me. Not completely. Not yet. But she taught me something I never wanted to learn. Love means nothing without respect. And she never respected me. She fed on my silence. My willingness to forgive. So I stopped forgiving. I started watching. The next morning, I looked through our shared laptop. She'd forgotten to sign out of her email. Rookie mistake. I didn't snoop. I didn't need to. The truth was already in my inbox. There were the emails to Carl. They weren't even subtle. She sent him pictures. She talked about me like I was a joke. She said things like, he still thinks we can fix this, poor idiot. And Carl, he responded with grammatical errors and crude jokes, like he thought humiliating me made him smart. One thread caught my eye. It was from her workplace. A forwarded message about a performance bonus. She was up for a raise. A big one. Double her current salary. And it depended on one thing, a clean HR record. That was the first snippet. You see, a month ago, I overheard her on the phone with a woman named Candace. She bragged about her and Carl, yes, Carl, having sex in a storage room. Said it was exciting. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Now I realized Carl was a building janitor for her company. That meant she was sleeping with staff. On company property. Bingo. I started documenting everything. Screenshots. Photos. Her messages. I backed up her emails, downloaded the attachments, wrote down the dates and locations. I even checked the building's hours to match her timestamps. I wasn't going to send it just yet. Not yet. First, I needed insurance. So I called my friend Marcus. He works in IT compliance. I told him everything. He whistled through his teeth. Dude, he said, this is a workplace violation. If this gets out, she's screwed. I'm not ready to out her, I said. Not yet. I want her to feel it first. He paused. Are you serious? I want her to panic. I want her to sweat. And then I want her to run. I spent the next week playing the role. I didn't run into her again. I even responded to her messages. Neutral. Short. No emotion. She took it as weakness. She came over one night. Said she was missing comfort. She stayed the night. I didn't touch her. I just watched. And while she slept in my bed, I copied the contents of her purse, her ID, her work badge, her phone lock code. In the morning, I made her breakfast. She laughed and said, I knew you'd come. You always do. But in my head, I was already imagining the moment when her HR manager would read the anonymous complaint I hadn't sent yet. It wasn't a question of if I'd screw it up. It was a question of when. It started with a single envelope. No return address. No note. Just a flash drive. I didn't send it directly to her. I sent it to her company's HR department, marked confidential, attention director of compliance. Inside was everything. The email threads, screenshots, date-stamped photos of her car parked outside the office after hours, right when she claimed she was working late, a copy of the janitor's company badge, and audio. See, what she didn't know was that I'd borrowed a discreet audio recorder from Marcus. I'd left it in her purse during that night she stayed over. The next day, she went to work with it still running. The battery lasted 4 hours. I got everything. Every whispered flirtation with Carl in the hallway. Every moment of her mocking me to her coworkers, calling me spineless, soft, desperate. But the line that sealed it? HR can't touch me. I'm too valuable. I let that line echo in their office. I didn't expect a reply. And I didn't need one. That same week, she texted me cold and sharp. Did you send something to my office? I played dumb. What are you talking about? Don't screw with me. I know it was you. Know it was me? She stopped replying. I heard from Marcus later that day. He had a contact in her company's IT department. Dude, he said, whatever you dropped, it hit hard. She got pulled into a meeting this morning. 2 directors. Legal. HR. I didn't celebrate. Not yet. That weekend, she showed up at my door. No smile. No mockery. Just eyes full of fear. We need to talk, she said. I let her in. She stood in the hallway, clutching her bag, lips pressed tight. Someone's trying to sabotage my career, she said. I think you know something. I stared at her. Let the silence grow heavy. She cracked first. Okay. I messed up. I get that. But you don't have to destroy my life. I raised an eyebrow. You mean, like the way you destroyed mine? She started to speak, but I cut her off. Tell Carl I said hi, I said, assuming he's still got a job. Or a key card. She blinked fast. Swallowed. You have no idea what you've started, she whispered. Oh, I said, stepping closer. You have no idea what I haven't started. She left with nothing. No apology. No comeback. Just silence. And silence, from her, was the sweetest sound I'd heard in months. That week, word got around. Her promotion was suspended pending internal investigation. Carl was placed on administrative leave. And me? I slept. Deep, dreamless sleep for the first time in weeks. But the war wasn't over. She was humiliated, bruised, but not broken. Not yet. Because then, she struck back. I should have seen it coming. When you hit someone like her, someone who feeds on control, they don't back down. They regroup. And when they strike, they make sure it stings. It started with a knock on my door. Midday. I opened it, expecting a delivery. Instead, it was a man in a gray suit, holding a thick envelope. Are you Mr. Adler? Yes. You've been served. He handed me the envelope and walked away like he'd done it 100 times. I opened it on the spot. Petition for protection order. She filed a restraining order against me, claimed I was harassing her, that I'd threatened her safety, that she was afraid for her life. I stood there, reading line by line, shaking. None of it was true. Not one word. But it didn't matter. To the court, it was her word versus mine. She said I'd stalked her workplace, monitored her calls, sent anonymous threats. She even attached a printout of the flash drive I sent to HR, claiming I weaponized confidential data to coerce and intimidate. She twisted my silence into menace, my evidence into abuse. And she wasn't done. I found out later that day she'd called my landlord, claimed she feared I might retaliate violently, and suggested he review the safety of his property. The next day, I got a notice they wouldn't be renewing my lease. Then came the smear campaign. She posted on Facebook long, teary paragraphs about how heartbroken she was to find out I was a controlling, emotionally unstable partner, that I'd snapped after the breakup, that I was watching her every move. People started messaging me, some defending her, others just confused. Even mutual friends, people who stood by me after she cheated, began to pull away. One of them, Rachel, sent me a screenshot from a group chat. She's saying you threatened Carl, Rachel texted, that you cornered him in a parking lot and made him fear for his safety. That never happened. But Carl? He played along, filed a statement backing her up. Just like that, the tide turned. My name, my face, started becoming the punchline of her story. And she was the wounded heroine. I tried to explain. I reached out to a few people. But the moment I said anything that even sounded emotional, they pulled away. You sound obsessive, man, one guy said. Maybe you should just let it go. Let it go? She humiliated me, lied, cheated, laughed in my face. And now she was painting me as a monster. No, I wasn't letting it go. But I was learning. She didn't want to win by truth. She wanted to win by narrative. And that meant I had to stop reacting and start rewriting the story. Not for others. For me. She underestimated me. Again, she thought I'd crawl into a corner after the restraining order, after the online smear campaign. But I wasn't the same man she mocked in our kitchen. That man was gone. The court date for the restraining order was set. I showed up with a clean haircut, calm eyes, and 2 folders. One was full of my own documentation, text messages, call logs, GPS data from my phone showing I hadn't been anywhere near her or Carl since she moved out. The other? That was the one she didn't see coming. Inside were screenshots from a private Reddit account she didn't know I'd found. She had been venting anonymously in a local relationship forum. I recognized her writing immediately, same phrases, same style, same stories. Only there, she wasn't the victim. She bragged. She posted about how she was playing her ex like a fiddle. She described me as gullible, slow to anger, and predictable. Said, he thinks he's being strategic, but I know him. He'll break first. They always do. And worse, she admitted the restraining order was just insurance, and that Carl was more useful than fun. I printed it all. Every thread. Every comment. Every timestamp. When we sat in front of the judge, she cried on cue. Wore muted colors. Claimed I was unstable and obsessed. That she feared for her safety. The judge turned to me. I said nothing at first. Just handed him the folders. He read in silence for 10 minutes. Her eyes darted across the room. She looked at me, confused, then at her lawyer, then back at me. The judge finally spoke. Ms. Delaney, do you deny posting any of this? She froze. Her lawyer leaned over, whispered something. She stammered. I don't recall. So you're not denying it? She bit her lip. It might have been exaggerated. The judge set the file down. Motion denied. That was it. The restraining order dissolved. On record. Publicly. I walked out without a word. But that wasn't the end. I went home and scheduled a consultation with a defamation attorney. I showed him everything, her Facebook posts, her group chat lies, Carl's false statement. He smiled. This is actionable, he said. You want to take it public, or just scare them? Just scare her, I said. For now. 2 days later, her lawyer received a cease and desist notice, along with a formal threat of civil suit for defamation and harassment. She called me that night. Blocked number. I let it ring. The next morning, her social media was wiped clean. Posts gone. Accounts deactivated. Her lies were unraveling faster than she could spin them. And I wasn't finished. Because next, I was going after her professionally again. But this time, I wasn't just targeting her behavior. I was targeting her reputation. I was stupid to think I had the upper hand for good. Because the moment she went silent, I assumed she was retreating. But she wasn't. She was regrouping. The silence was part of her strategy. 3 weeks passed after the court victory. I was riding the high of winning. The cease and desist shut her down online. Carl was still out of work. My friend Marcus confirmed his badge was permanently deactivated. HR launched a full ethics audit on our team. I thought I'd ended it. But then my phone rang. Blocked number again. I let it go to voicemail. Then I got the text. From my employer. Please come to HR tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Mandatory. My chest tightened. I hadn't done anything wrong. But I knew who had. I showed up at the office. Sat across from our HR manager, and she didn't even let me speak. We received a complaint, she said. From a woman claiming to be your former partner. I sat frozen. She alleges you used company time, devices, and software to engage in a personal campaign of harassment, including surveillance, data gathering, and legal intimidation. It was all a lie. But she didn't need to prove it. She just had to cause doubt. I've never used company property for personal matters, I said firmly. You can check. We are, she said. But until the investigation is complete, we're placing you on administrative leave. There it was. She didn't need to beat me in court. She just needed to make me bleed where it hurt most, my career. As I walked out of the office with my badge deactivated, I saw the smirk on her face again, not in person, but in my memory. That smirk haunted me more than anything. That night, I sat in my apartment, silent, empty, humiliated. My job was my identity, my anchor. And she knew that. She didn't destroy my income, not yet, but she struck at the place where I still had dignity. My performance. My name. It worked. I stopped sleeping. Stopped eating. She called it harassment. But she was the one who inserted herself into my world, my company. How did she even know who I worked for? Then I remembered. That night she slept over, she went through my mail. She saw the tax document from HR. My employer's name was printed clearly. She filed a fake complaint with just enough technical buzzwords to sound legitimate. And while my company started its slow, cautious review, I was benched. Powerless. For a week, I didn't respond. Didn't move. She was ahead of me again. And I hated how much that felt familiar. But on day 8 of my suspension, something unexpected happened. A message arrived in my inbox. From a woman named Lauren, junior legal assistant. Same company as her. Subject line, you don't know me, but I know what she's doing. The body of the email? I think it's time someone told you what she's been hiding from everyone. Lauren didn't waste time. We met in a small cafe just outside the city. She wore a ball cap and kept checking over her shoulder like she was afraid someone followed her. She doesn't know I'm doing this, she said, barely above a whisper. But I can't watch her ruin another person. Why now? I asked. Because she's doing to you what she did to someone else last year. HR covered it up then. But if you want proof, I have it. She slid a flash drive across the table. She's been falsifying expense reports. Charging personal trips as client meetings. There's a trail of it. Carl was just the beginning. I blinked. So she's committing fraud? Among other things. She had a brief relationship with her direct manager too, kept quiet because she had dirt on him. I leaned back, trying to breathe. Everything Lauren said fit. The ego. The arrogance. The way she weaponized personal chaos into leverage. Why are you helping me? I asked. Lauren looked down at her coffee. She threatened me once. Said if I ever crossed her, she'd bury me. I've kept my head down ever since. But seeing what she's done to you, I couldn't stay quiet. I thanked her and left. When I got home, I plugged in the flash drive. There it was. Hotel receipts labeled as off-site client onboarding, same hotel she took Carl to. Uber rides charged to the company account, even on weekends. Restaurant tabs with 2 entrees and drinks listed under single-person meetings. I spent all night organizing everything. Labeled each violation. Cross-referenced with her company calendar. Matched the expense reports with internal email confirmations. Then I drafted the package. A new envelope. Clean. Precise. Addressed to the company's ethics board, not just HR. I included an anonymous tip explaining the manipulation, the false accusations, and now clear evidence of internal fraud. But I didn't send it yet, because she still had something over me. My job. I needed to clear my name first. So I compiled a second file, my digital defense. I showed how every accusation she made was baseless. I included character references from coworkers, email logs, system audits proving I never accessed company systems for personal business. I sent it to my company's HR with a single note. Full rebuttal enclosed. Additional context pending. I urge you to review both carefully before drawing final conclusions. 2 days passed. Then I got the call. Mr. Adler, HR said, you've been cleared. Effective immediately, your access has been restored. I closed my eyes. Relief flooded through me like a wave I didn't know I'd been holding back. She lost. Again. And she didn't even know yet. Until I sent the second envelope. Not to her, but to the company's general counsel. 2 more days passed. Then I heard it. She was put on immediate unpaid leave pending formal investigation. Her name was stripped from the department directory. And Carl? He disappeared completely. The silence from her side wasn't just strategy anymore. It was fear. But I wasn't done. Because in her absence, something surfaced. Something I didn't expect. A file she'd hidden deep inside the company's shared drive. Password protected. Mistakenly labeled under a generic budget folder. Lauren found it. Forwarded it to me. Inside? Photos. Videos. A second phone. Hidden conversations. And one thread labeled, insurance if he ever flips. All about me. Everything she collected in case I ever fought back. And in it? One detail she didn't know she'd exposed. One detail that could destroy her from every direction. The file was explosive. Inside that hidden folder, she detailed every move I'd made. Screenshots of our arguments. Photos of my apartment. A list of people I talked to. She was building a case, just in case I ever got smart. There was even a note at the bottom of one doc. If he pushes too far, I'll pull the plug. I've done it before. I didn't know what that meant, but I had a bad feeling. That feeling turned to panic when I got a call from my boss the next morning. Can you come in? I thought maybe they'd seen the final evidence I sent, the one that proved everything. Instead, I walked into a conference room with 2 executives and a legal rep. There's been a development, one of them said. It appears your name has come up in an anonymous whistleblower complaint. Something about retaliatory behavior, financial intimidation, and coercive conduct. What? I said. She's making this up. The legal rep slid a document across the table. It was detailed. Nasty. Twisted facts made to look like patterns. It even claimed I blackmailed Carl into quitting. I laughed. Carl's a janitor. He doesn't even work here. They didn't laugh. Until this is sorted, my boss said, you're suspended again. This time without pay. She did it. Somehow, she got ahead of me. Again. By the time I got home, my inbox was flooded. Emails from HR, legal, even the ethics board. She had filed counterclaims to my complaint, accusing me of falsifying evidence, hacking, and ongoing emotional abuse. It was enough to muddy the waters. And it worked. I was the villain again. News spread. My reputation at work tarnished. Lauren messaged me. I think she's turning people in the legal department. I'm sorry. I stared at my screen for hours. Numb. She beat me. She flipped the script. Again. She knew I wouldn't take her down publicly. I wasn't built for scorched earth. She was. The final blow came 3 days later. A letter. Certified. Due to internal conflict and unresolved investigations, your position has been eliminated effective immediately. No hearing. No final interview. Just a corporate axe falling without a sound. She won. She destroyed my career. She destroyed my name. She destroyed me. I sat alone that night, lights off, phone off, thinking of all the times I forgave her. All the times she smiled while twisting the knife. I thought it was over, until my phone buzzed. One new message. From a number I didn't recognize. The text said, "You don't know me, but I need to talk to you. I think she forged your signature on multiple financial documents. She made me help her. I'm done lying." It was signed. Candace, her accountant. Candace met me in an underground parking garage. She looked terrified, kept glancing around. Said she was risking everything by talking to me. She made me notarize forged financial documents, she said, shaking. Loan applications, insurance filings, tax forms. She signed your name on at least 6 of them. If the IRS sees this, it's criminal. She'll go down hard. I didn't blink. How do I prove it? She handed me a folder. Originals. Copies. Timestamped files. Some with internal company signatures. Others with notary seals. Candace was done protecting her. "I'm ready to testify if it comes to that," she said. "But you didn't hear that from me." I took the folder, went home, and started building my case. 2 days later, I had everything. Fraudulent insurance claims. Illegally secured business credit lines in my name. Forged tax documents. And evidence that she instructed Candace to manipulate financial records for personal gain. It was over. If I filed this, she'd lose her job, her license, her reputation, and she'd be facing felony charges. I drafted the complaint, attached the evidence, labeled it for the State Fraud Unit, the IRS, and her licensing board. All I had to do was press send. But I waited. I wanted her to know first. So I sent her a message. "I know what you did. And this time, it's not just about lies or love. It's federal. If you want to talk, you have 1 hour." She responded in 8 minutes. "Where?" I picked the place. Neutral. Cold. A law library downtown. Public but quiet. She showed up late, wearing all black. No makeup. Hair tied back. For the first time in months, she didn't walk like she owned the room. I dropped the folder on the table. She opened it. Page after page. Her hands started trembling. "You forged my name," I said flatly. "You used me to finance your career. You committed federal crimes. You're done." She tried to speak. Couldn't. Her lip quivered. Then she slid off the chair and dropped to her knees. Right there in the middle of the reading room. Tears hit the floor. "Please," she whispered. "I'm begging you. Don't do this. I'll lose everything." I said nothing. "I know I destroyed you," she cried. "I know I don't deserve mercy. But if you do this, it's prison. My life will never recover. Please." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The people at the next table glanced over. She didn't care. She was shaking, clutching my leg like it was her last hope. "I'll disappear," she sobbed. "I'll never come near you again. Just, please, don't press send." I stood over her. I thought of the nights I cried alone. The lies. The restraining order. The job I lost. The look on her face when she laughed in my kitchen. And now, this. I pulled out my phone, hovered my thumb over the send button. She looked up at me, broken. I lowered my hand. "Get up," I said quietly. She did. "I won't destroy you," I said. "But you will leave this city. You'll shut your mouth. You'll vanish. And if I ever hear your name again, this file goes to every agency in the country." She nodded through her tears. Numb. Hollow. I left her standing there. And I walked out into the street. Lighter. Not because I spared her, but because I spared myself. And now I only have one question left. What would you have done in my place?